What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel and not welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless, of course, your taste level is lacking, okay? And you ain't the only one. It's a little subset of y'all in the population. Go find your people, baby. Beat it. Scram. To everyone else, hi, hello. I hope you're well. Y'all, it's real different back here. It's real different back here. If you're not new here, you see all of the things behind my shoulder, over my shoulders, and it was time. It's so time for me to change so many things around here, and I'm so nervous about filming today's video because I just want to try something new, something that I feel really good about. And it's not even me thinking like whether or not y'all would like it. I don't know, I'm just nervous because it's, I guess, the first time. Y'all, for years, I believe like 7 years now, we've been doing true crime content and makeup, and I'm done with the makeup, baby. I need the content to evolve with me. I really, in my real life, I'm not even a makeup girly like that. Like, if there is an event, and it gotta be an event where I just probably feel like I would just look out of place with a bare face for me to throw on some makeup, honestly. 9 times out of 10, when I do research and I just take so long to actually film the content, it's because I don't be feeling like getting up and putting on a face of makeup. And 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, if I don't have an event or something to go to after the makeup is done, I get right in the shower and wash it off. I'm tired of that life, okay? I'm coming out the closet. I like makeup, it's cute and all of those things, but truth is, I'm tired. And I do a lot more crafts. I love crafts. If you follow me like on my socials, I post sometimes to my stories. Once a week, I do crafts and coffee at one of my favorite coffee shops. And I've met quite a few of y'all up in there who see me in there with all my markers and color pencils and my books, sometimes with friends, sometimes alone. And yeah, I was like, why not do that? Why not redo the set and make it cozy? It's comfortable in here. If you want to know the details about all of the things behind me, there is a short with a thorough tour, me going through everything, explaining what it is, why I chose it. I'm gonna try to link all the things below. Worst case scenario, baby, you're gonna have to do a little piece of thumb work on your own and type in the names of the things that I show you. I'll save all the chatter about that for that. So I was like, you know what? Why not pair something that I genuinely just love to do so much with it? Because once upon a time when I started, baby, I loved to do makeup. And honestly, if you know my story as to why I started my channel in the first place, like that was like the only thing that brought me joy. But like, it's not my thing anymore. So in the spirit of growth, okay, this channel is no longer a makeup and true crime channel. RIP. That was fun and cute. This is now crafts and crime, okay? Now, most of the time, said crafts will be coloring a page out of a coloring book, a little piece of crochet. I love to crochet large blankets. I have an idea of this like huge granny square quilt that I made one square. Now I'm using it to prop something up right now, so I can't show it to you. It's real ghetto around here, okay? I got some things in the mail. So some projects might be bigger than others, started in one video, completed in the next or next couple videos. Just ride with me, child. That's not even important right now. Now today's page will be out of the Spooky Cutie Cute and Comfy coloring book by Coco Wyo. This will be the page. Now let me tell you something. I'm not the worst colorer. I'm not the best either. So lower your expectations. Wherever they are, knock them down by 50%. About 35%. I enjoy coloring. I very much like to color for fun though. I ain't promising you Picasso. Put a little piece of cardstock back here to make sure it don't bleed through. And let's get started. This chair stay calling me a fat ass Kelly Price. I need to oil it up though, in all seriousness. I haven't done that since I bought it. It's time. So in today's case, we are talking about a very unfortunate incident that taken place in Napa Valley, commonly referred to as the Napa Halloween murders. So in 2004, we have these 2 women who have decided to move in together and be roommates in a house in Napa Valley. Both women felt like it was the best decision based on the things that they have going on individually, as well as the goals that they have set for themselves. They get along fine, neither of them have kids. It just seems like a good situation. We have Adrienne, who's 26. She is originally from Calistoga, California, about 45 minutes away from Napa Valley. It's a small city, and according to her family, she grew up a Girl Scout. She was an athlete. She played both volleyball and softball, and she liked to volunteer in her spare time. Now, at age 17, Adrienne was involved in a very, nearly fatal car accident. This changes the way she views life. It really puts in perspective for her that things can change in an instant, and she realizes how important it is for us to just seize the day, make the most of each one, because you never know. The pearly gates are always open for business, child. Now, after the accident, she earns herself a scholarship to California Polytech State University, where she earns her bachelor's in civil engineering. After college, she is traveling. She starts dating a man named Christian. We will talk more about Mr. Christian in just a moment. At the age of 26, Adrienne is working as a civil engineer for the city sanitation district. She does not have children. She's just a single lady out here living life like it's golden. And then we have her friend, 27-year-old Laura, who is also an athlete, an all-star athlete actually, who earned her degree in political science. Lauren is a volleyball coach at a community college there in Napa. She's a dog mom, and Lauren is described as like the mature friend. The friend that's gonna double check all the locks on the door and wait up for those made at home texts. That friend. The two friends decide to rent this home in the 2600 block of Dorset Street together. They settle in, everything is good, and then they begin nesting the place and making it their own. Both women keep a very low profile, very private lives that consist of mainly work, family, friends, and that's about it. And well, occasionally the men's. On moving day, mutual friends show up to help them move in, and among these mutual friends are Lily and her fiance Eric. Now, Lily is friendly with both Lauren and Adrienne, but Adrienne is her very best friend. They are two peas in a pod. Adrienne and Lily are actually best friends. The two work together, they hang out after work often, they go to the gym, they work out together at the gym. They're very close, like sisters. These two are each other's confidants in a lot of the things, whether it's just general lifing stuff, relationship woes, issues at work they want to vent about. On the 10th anniversary of Adrienne's terrible car accident, the two of them actually call in to work, both of them, and they go and take the day to enjoy it, to celebrate her life. It's actually a day she referred to as the day she was supposed to die. And so to try to, switch up the energy of the day, reclaim her day back, the two go out and celebrate. And the relationship is equally yoked because whenever Lily and her fiance Eric are having issues and she needs to talk, Adrienne is right there for her. Being a friend, lifting her up, offering her like a self-care day, which is part of the reason they did spend a lot of time together. The house is 2 levels. Adrienne takes the upstairs bedroom, and then Lauren and her dog Chloe, they move into the bedroom on the 1st level of the house. All is well. Everyone is getting along fine. June of 2004, a 3rd roommate now enters the fold, 26-year-old Leslie Ann. Leslie is a former beauty queen originally from South Carolina and a true Southern belle. She is bubbly, she is charismatic, charming, also a hopeless romantic. Leslie here has grown up with a single mother who she is extremely close with and allegedly raised her up like a princess. Now, 2 things have brought her to the decision to become roommates with the other 2 women. The first being the fact that her mother, whom she is very close with, she's moved across the country to Berkeley, California. And then Leslie, she is also going through a terrible breakup. So this is the perfect opportunity for her to get a fresh start in a new city, new state, and also be close with her mother again. Now, she accepts her little job down to this winery where she greets guests. And then she takes the 2nd upstairs bedroom across from Adrienne. She's also single again. She is back on the prowl because she thought it was perfect and she don't know how. Leslie is testing the water. She is getting out dating. She is not letting this one instance where things didn't work out discourage her from finding love. If you're not my person, baby, let me out here so I can go find who said person is. And that is what she is on the quest to do. Enjoying the company of others here and there when she is in the mood to do so. And just like when there were 2 of them, the ladies get along as 3. And they also get along well with the neighbors who surround them, neighbors who all appear to really like all 3 women, adore them. The 3 women host sometimes game nights, cookouts, dinners, and invite their neighbors over. They're very familiar with everyone. Everything is going well. I repeat, all of the things are going well. Come October, they've all really settled into the house. They've decorated for the holiday. None of them really have plans for partying, but they do have plans of getting together, being festive, handing out trick-or-treat candy to all the little kids from the neighborhood who are stopping by in their Halloween get up. Y'all don't come around here. My porch light gonna be off, baby. It's gonna be off 2025. So Adrian and Leslie, they spend their afternoon handing out candy. Lauren gets home later in the day. She had a very busy day, a lot of things to do. The plan is for them to just have a nice little merry time at the house together. But a few nights before Halloween night, they finally hit this snag in the arrangement, which is to be expected. Let's be real, there are 3 women, 4 if you count Chloe, under one roof together. Is bound to be some disagreements. Thursday, October 28th, there's an argument amongst the group. Leslie brings home one of her gentleman callers, and the 2 of them have an adult exchange that keeps the other 2 women up at night, like all night long. And so the next day, neither of them are very happy, and they make their grievances known. It's time for a house meeting. Okay, this was the first instance of someone being brought, a lover being brought into their home. And so the 3 women gather around to have a chat about it and establish some ground rules. Now they do come to a common ground. Boundaries are set that everybody is comfortable with and agree to. And 3 days later, Halloween comes around. Everything is going according to plan. Adrian and the 3rd roommate, Leslie, are the only 2 at home for most of the evening, handing out candies to the neighborhood children. And then Lauren, who had a pretty long day, she arrives home a little bit later, much later in the evening actually. Mama had a long day. She had a soccer game to coach earlier that morning. Afterwards, she had a bunch of errands to run, and now she has arrived home, and her other 2 roommates are deep in the Halloween spirit, which is not a problem. They passing out candy at the door. They're joking with all of the little people in their little tiny costumes and are excited. Now, Lauren, not so much. And it's not anything against the little children, child, or Halloween itself. It's the fact that her dog, Chloe, who is an older dog, is very triggered by loud noises. So the constant ringing at the doorbell, the different people talking, all of the things are constantly sending her into a spiral of just barking and anxiety. So Lauren cannot wait for this to be over. Now, this Halloween is a Sunday, so with school and a lot of work in the morning, the children are not out late at around 9 p.m. It pretty much died down for the night. And like I mentioned, none of the women had plans to go out, so this was pretty much the end of the night for them. Adrian does have plans to go off and see her boyfriend, Christian, who lives about a block or so away. And Lauren and Leslie, they stay in, they have dinner together, then watch 6 Feet Under in the living room where they have real casual conversation. Now at around 9:30 p.m., Lauren gets a call that she slides out of the room to take. Now after a while, Leslie decides to call it a night. She waited up for her for a while, but Lauren is still on their calls, so she just lets her know that she's now headed upstairs to her bedroom for the night. About an hour later, Adrian returns home from her boyfriend's house. When Adrian gets home, Lauren is still there. She is still awake on the bottom level, so the 2 of them have a conversation for a few minutes. Adrian then heads upstairs to her room. She prepares for bed, and then she sends Chris a text message. And she says, "Thank you for yesterday. It was one of the best days ever. I wish it could be forever." Very eerie considering where the story is going. Lauren then lets Chloe out for her final potty break for the evening, and then she checks the doors to make sure they're all locked before turning in herself. Now by 11:30 p.m., all 3 women are tucked in. The house is quiet, and at 2 a.m., the motion light outside of the home comes on. And Lauren, who is asleep on the bottom floor of the house, she notices, but she figures that it must be maybe one of the other roommates that have company. Maybe it's a late night trick-or-treater. An animal stirring outside. It could be many things. She did not think that it was anything that needed to be checked out. But then she hears the sound of breaking glass. Not so normal, which is then moments later followed by the sound of one of her roommates' blood-curdling screams. And you know how it is when you hear something in the dark, right? And Lauren immediately jumps out of bed, listening for a moment, and what she hears is Adrian pleading, "Please God, help me. Somebody help me." Seconds later, she hears the sound of heavy footprints trampling down the stairs, and she's terrified that they are heading in her direction. Her room is downstairs, so she, thinking quick on her feet, bolts for the back door. Now, initially, or while she is running, she is terrified that the person is right on her heels, that maybe they saw her as they were coming down the stairs. Chloe is following her. She is fully prepared for whoever this is to attack her any moment, but luckily she makes it to the yard and sees that she is not at all being chased. She hides and she watches and waits as the intruder leaves the same way that he has surely gotten in, through the window of their home. The doors of the home have been checked to make sure they were locked. The windows, however, had not been checked. Lauren stays there for a few moments in the background, listening and waiting, and there is no more noise coming from the house. It's just silence. Now, Lauren goes back into the house and grabs the cordless phone to dial 911, but there is no dial tone. She then goes upstairs to her roommate's rooms, and Leslie, the former beauty queen, is lying face down, motionless on a pile of clothes in the room, and she's also laying in a thick pool of blood. She's not moving, she's not making any sounds. Her upper body is just riddled, like covered in stab wounds. Now, Adrienne is also hurt pretty badly. She's still breathing, but she is unable to speak at all. And fearing that the person might come back to the house, Lauren decides that she's going to go to her car, take her cell phone, dial 911, so that's what she does. But when help arrives, both Leslie and Adrienne are unfortunately pronounced deceased. Now, a crime like this had not occurred in the Napa Valley area for 2 years, and the community was shocked. And all the people that knew them personally, the women, were also shocked, because no one understood who would want to hurt them. They didn't have any known enemies. All of them were fairly nice women. So it didn't seem likely that they had had a run-in with someone recently that would be so bad that somebody would track them down and want to harm them in this way. They comb over the crime scene and try to piece together the final events of both women. And detectives determined that after entering the home and going straight upstairs, that the assailant first attacked Leslie in her sleep. Her room was the very first one that you would get to once you reached the top of the stairs. So they believe that she was chosen just out of sheer convenience and not targeted intentionally. And they figure that Adrienne must have heard the commotion, gotten out of bed, and then turned her bedroom light on. And then she might have gone into Leslie's room to help when she heard her roommate screaming, and then she was attacked. And they believe this is how they both ended up in Leslie's room. Now, Adrienne also put up a hell of a fight. She had a lot of defensive wounds on her hands and on her arm. Looking at the crime scene, there's not a clear motive at all. It's not robbery. Nobody stole anything. And they could tell that the person had gained entry to the home using the kitchen window. Here, said person also left behind this bundle of zip ties, heavy-duty zip ties here, the same zip ties that were used by the police department at the time to temporarily detain someone. And we know that the locks weren't checked like the doors were, so it's possible that the window was open or unlocked, not opened. Whoever this was, they came in on a violent tangent and left, and smeared blood on the blinds and the walls on their way out. Outside of the home, 3 cigarette butts are discarded, 2 of them in the backyard and 1, I believe, by the window of the kitchen that the person had obviously come through, as if the intruder had been outside chain smoking up the courage to go inside, or maybe they were waiting on them to likely all be asleep. They left behind footprints, DNA, fingerprints. The amount of evidence that is collected feels promising. It'll lead them right to the person who did it. But unfortunately, that is not how things pan out, and that's not the case. Weeks go by, turning into months without a single solitary suspect. Now, a few of them have been speculated, but no one has been arrested. In the meantime, the community comes together in the women's honor, holding candlelight vigils. Adrienne's best friend Lily here pleads with the public for anyone who knows anything to come forward. If you see something, say something. The community offers a reward of $100,000 for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. She says, quote, "Somebody must have seen something. Somebody out there knows something. Someone will have to notice a friend of theirs acting strange. It's important. It's important to find out who did this and to find out why. In some sick way, I want to know. I want to know how it happened. I mean, this is my friend. I want to know what happened to her. So that's what she had to say, which I 100% get. I mean, if something like that happens to anybody you love, of course you want answers. When months go by without any leads and the investigation is basically going nowhere, Lily, Adrian's best friend, is pissed that no arrests have been made, and the person who had done this to her best friend was still out there, free to live their life unpunished. She would talk to the media. She was vocal in the community, really advocating for her friend. Lily also spoke to the media about the state of her friend's body, saying, quote, "It looked like she fought so hard." And then she goes on to say that Adrian's hands and arms were covered and bruises and defensive cuts, and said Adrian hated turtlenecks, absolutely refused to wear them, but she was buried in one for obvious reasons. That fight was another reason why Lily and a lot of other people were frustrated at the fact that nobody has been named, because like I said, there was so much evidence. You would think, like, surely there's DNA under the nails, DNA from all the fingerprints that were laying around. Like, why is this taking so long? According to Lily, she had to have hurt the person during the struggle. Like, he had to have some kind of scratches, bruising, something that someone has seen, and no one is saying anything. Meanwhile, the rumor mill is buzzing with all kinds of theories. One that the women were involved in shady secret lives, that they had some ties to the streets, child, had made a fatal mistake, child. I mean, I guess there is the TV show Weeds, child, but that wasn't the case with these women. So police first, of course, as with any case, look at those closest to them, any friends or co-workers that may have felt slighted, or any lovers that may have been scorned. Now, with Leslie's looks and charming personality, she attracted a lot of admirers, and not everyone takes rejection well. So she had a college boyfriend named Brian West, who is said to have had some trouble letting go and accepting their breakup after it happened. Brian had made a tribute page mourning her on social media as if she had died after their breakup, which is kind of weird, because it's like, sir, did you manifest this? Why would you? That has to be a horrible feeling, opening up the internet and seeing your face on an obituary. Child, don't kill me off early. Now, some of her friends and family, they, like me, thought that was alarming, and so was him buying her a whole car just a couple months into them dating, but she just brushed it off as a harmless idolization. But now everybody is questioning whether or not it was so harmless after all. Now, Brian was not the only person of interest as it relates to Leslie. There was also William Lee Youngblood Jr. Now, William is her ex, who she lived with prior to moving to Napa Valley. Oddly, the two of them were slated for marriage, but a big part of why they never made it down the altar is William's father, William Lee Youngblood Sr. He was oddly interested in Leslie and would call the house multiple times a day, and not to speak with his son, to chat with Leslie. After so many phone calls, boundaries had been set with the father. The son had a conversation with his dad. Boundaries are set, but he refuses to respect them. Eventually, Leslie stopped answering all of his phone calls, and this issue contributed eventually to them calling off the engagement. And you know what else is real weird about this Leslie William Youngblood situation? William Lee Youngblood Sr., the dad, he had called Leslie's phone twice that night. When investigators get her phone records back and see that, they fly out to South Carolina so fast to speak with him in person. And William Youngblood Sr., I left out a name, William Lee Youngblood Sr. gives them an alibi and insists that he had nothing to do with it, that him calling her twice that night was sheer coincidence. Both he and his son, William Lee Youngblood Jr., the Youngbloods, child, they cooperate with police 100%. Both of them give DNA when it is requested, and neither of them are a match. Both have solid alibis that check out as well. They have witnesses, people that are willing to vouch for them and say, you know what, I've seen it with my own two eyes. They were not there, they were here. So if it was not done at their hand, but done at their orchestrating, when they do find the person that actually did it, of course, it'll loop them back to the father-son duo, but for now, the two of them are off the hook. Now, there was also a handyman who came to the house that day to work on something. So detectives wonder if something, you never know coming into your house. You never know, especially with a little piece of handyman, a little pest control. So what if this was some strange, obsessed man who saw one of the ladies, decided to come back with some bad intentions? They go and speak with him. He too has a solid alibi and is not cleared of suspicion. Now, I mentioned earlier that Leslie recently had gotten back into dating. There were two men that she was seeing regularly. She recently, in the weeks preceding Halloween, had introduced them to her two college friends, Katie and Vanessa. Friends that said they both gotten a bad feeling from one of the men. We'll call him John. The four of them, the two friends, John and Leslie, they had all gone out to a bar one evening, and according to her friend Katie said, quote, "He had this very dark gaze. I'll never forget his eyes, ever." Both women recall him being very jealous, possessive, and angry acting, and they advised her after the meet that he was not the one. Like, girl, it's plenty of fish in the sea. That one throwback. We all didn't have to tell a friend that. And since this has happened on Halloween, both women have thought about that man. They have both thought about him and raised a brow. Now, hearing this, police raise a brow at him as well. Now, they go out and they speak with him as well, but he too has an alibi that checks out, and he also has DNA that is not a match to the DNA found at the scene. Now, Leslie seemingly had no known enemies, knowing that they could find who would have a reason to want the beauty queen dead. So now they're starting to wonder if Adrian, the engineer, was the target and her roommates were just casualties. Now, they of course have also been interviewing those close to Adrian. Christian Lee, the boyfriend she's seen earlier in the evening, being one of the first that they zero in on. The two of them had reportedly been off and on for a while, and per Lily, Adrian's best friend, their relationship was toxic and messy, and oftentimes Adrian would cry to her about it. So they were crying to each other. Now, detectives had shown up to Christian Lee's home right away, knocking on his door in the middle of the night, honey, grabbing him up out of the bed. They seize a knife from his home. They seize his bed sheets, a few items of clothing, and also take a blood sample for testing against the DNA that they had found at the scene. Now, he's also seized for questioning amongst his things. He's pretty forthcoming. He admits that their relationship had been rocky and why it had been rocky, claiming that his hesitation to commit to her has been a problem and that she wanted more than he was ready to give. He also tells them that she told him she had met someone else and was prepared to move on with her life if he was not sure about her. Completely transparent, lays out all of their issues, willingly submits the DNA even though they have snatched his DNA gel off the sheets and all of his things, and the DNA comes back as a negative match. And they have been feeling really strongly about Christian being their guy. Unfortunately, he was not, and they are back to essentially square one, trying to figure out who the guy is. It's just brick wall, child after brick wall. Over 200 people interviewed, about that many people's DNA is collected, and none of these people are a match. They haven't the slightest clue who's responsible. At this point, they begin to believe that the person who had done it had skipped town either immediately afterward or sometime during the past months that they have been working and walking into all of these dead ends. And 11 long months into the investigation, the forensics lab finally gives detectives more information on the DNA evidence. Now, there was a third person's blood that was found at the scene. The blood of this third individual is found on the wall, dripping and smudged down the stairwell, and also on the window that they had escaped through. He had hurt himself either coming through the window or had hurt himself during the attack. Either way, however it happened, he was bleeding pretty badly before he left that house. DNA is also extracted from the pores of the rubber band that held the zip ties together, likely from sweat. The DNA between the rubber band and the blood are a complete match. They also have DNA found on the cigarette butts that they found outside the home that the person had been smoking, which of course the DNA, all of these little pieces of DNA are from the same person, undeniably. Now this gets them excited. Sounds like great news. There are 4 million people at the time in the little criminal DNA database. And with 4 million people in said database, the DNA from the scene came back as a match for not one of them. The test also tells them that the male is white, not even mixed, no swirl, just all white. And it's not 100% certain, but it's very extremely likely that the person has light colored eyes, like a gray, a blue, and light hair. So now that they have this update with what the person is and likely looks like, detectives go to the press again, and this information circulates through the media outlets. White male, light eyes, light hair, smokes camel Turkish golds. It got real specific, with detectives hoping that somebody would then come forward and say, yeah, this guy works with me, or I know who that is. He comes to my gas station and buys said cigarettes. And all this time, the most significant thing about the cigarette butts has been the DNA that they found on it. And they've had tunnel vision just focusing on the DNA and finding out who it belongs to. So much so that there was another clue that they completely missed, like right in their face. These are fairly new cigarettes and they're not very popular. And with realizing that, they decide to go around to several convenience stores, and they find that these don't sell very often in this town. Like they sell, if they sell them at all, it's probably a pack or two every other day. So with this information, they circle back to the surviving roommate Lauren, and they ask if she knew anyone who smoked cigarettes. And she said the only person that she knows personally that smokes cigarettes is Eric Koppel. Now, maybe a day or two later, a middle-aged, nice married couple receive a letter from their son, 26-year-old Eric Koppel. It is a self-deletion note, and in it, he confesses that he was, in fact, the person who had done this to the two women, that it was him that had entered their home that Halloween night. And I guess, child, with the information that's coming out, the walls closing in on him, he was a little afraid to go to jail. They always afraid to go to jail. They always afraid to go to jail, and they always afraid to die. Go figure. Now, he sent the letter off in the mail. They didn't got the letter. He's still walking around with life in his lungs. He did not pull the plug like he was threatening to do in the letter. His parents, they talk to him. They tell him don't do it, to turn himself in instead. So he decides to do that. And child, everybody yet again is shocked and stunned. Now, Eric Koppel is a quiet family man. He works as a land surveyor. He has no criminal record at all. At least he didn't at the time. He got one now. He was not known to have like violent tendencies. He was a father and a husband now. The husband of Lily, actually. Adrian's best friend. Came around with Lily all the time. But a friend did say, quote, whenever he was with Lily, she'd do all the talking and he'd just be there. He wouldn't say much, but I figured just because he was shy. Gotta watch them quiet when shy, keep an eye on him. And what is also very strange is the two of them were originally slated to get married the day that the women were technically killed, November 1st of 2004. But he and Lily had decided to postpone the wedding, so he went out and did that instead. And several months later, when he and Lily did go and tie the knot, Adrian's mother spoke at their wedding. Originally, Adrian herself was supposed to speak at the couple's wedding, being Lily's best friend, and I'm assuming would have been her maid of honor. So 4 months now past her death, they asked her mother to speak instead in her honor at her daughter's killer's wedding. Eric also attended the funerals of both women. And you know what's also interesting, at least to me, him writing that note and wanting to end it all, I do believe he did that because he was afraid that the walls were closing in. He did not want to go down for his crimes, but he obviously had been bothered as well by it because he had expressed in the letter his sorrows. And it's just interesting that his very own wife was the one in the media saying, and I quote again, somebody must have seen something. Somebody out there knows something. Someone would have to notice a friend of theirs acting strange. It's important to find out who did this and to find out why. In some sick way, I want to know how it happened. I mean, this is my friend. I want to know what happened to her. So girl, I know he was acting different, had to be. And you was laying up next to him every night. And you didn't notice that on the other side of your bed? You didn't notice all that strangeness? You didn't taste it in his kiss? Like, I'm just trying to figure out. Anyway, almost got worked up there. Now, when detectives bring in Eric for questioning, he immediately confesses to the things, and this is his account. He entered the women's home, he cut the phone lines, and in a blind rage that he does not remember conveniently, He attacked them. He claims that he has no photographic memory of the things because his eyes were closed, but he does know that he did it. So he ain't denying the things, but he's saying he don't recall them. Now, he said he does remember panicking afterward and fleeing out of the window. And afterward, he cleaned up and acted as shocked as everyone else about the horrific news, attended the candlelight vigils, consoled their parents and his own wife who had lost her best friend horrifically. And of all of the men that they had DNA tested and interviewed and all of these things, not once was Eric Koppel interviewed, not once was his DNA requested. He was actually, according to the police, on the list to be interviewed, but when asked why the interview hadn't happened, they didn't have an answer. It's kind of like it was just, I guess, too much going on. He slipped through the cracks. And this whole time, they're turning in circles and walking into walls, baby. And the one that had done it was right there in plain sight, hiding in their face, holding candles and hugging the weary, with nobody suspecting a thing. And now that everybody knows, everybody is perplexed. Eric is described as soft-spoken, kind, polite, shy even. This sounded very out of character for him, and it seemed to not make sense to anybody. He told police that he remembered only bits and pieces of the night, that before he had gone to the women's house, he had been at a party where he'd become heavily inebriated. He said that he and Lily had a fight about that night. The fight resulted in her refusing to spend the night at the apartment that they shared together, and she had given him a nice safe ride home from his party to said apartment with him being heavily intoxicated, and she herself wanting space to like breathe after their fight, not really wanting to be around him, went to her parents' house for the night. And there at the apartment alone, he said that he passed out, and hours later, he remembers waking up, grabbing a knife and the zip ties, and leaving the house. He said that he remembers smoking the cigarettes outside of the women's homes. But as for the why he had done any of the things, he says that he does not know. He only recalls the shock afterward and then him fleeing. The point at which he had snapped back to reality and opened his eyes, it was as if he was in some kind of trance. After leaving the women's home, he returned home, removed everything that he was wearing, socks, drawers, shoes, all of it, and burned it in a fire pit. And he said that he could not remember either what he did with the weapon after the fact. Now, Eric Koppel faces the death penalty if he goes to trial and loses. So instead of taking the risk, he decides to waive his rights to a trial, plead guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in order to have his own life spared. I told you, child, they be so scared to die. They want to kill people and be so scared to die. Do unto others. What happened to that? And Lily here, in support of her husband, Lily sat as close to him as she could get during his court date. And at some point, when allowed to take the stand to speak on behalf of him, she says, quote, "I wish with all my heart these events had been avoided." Then, looking over at her husband, she goes, "There is nothing you could do to make me love you any less. These words are just as true today as they were on that afternoon." I'm assuming the afternoon being their wedding. "If you don't go away from me with this Apollo, you want to hear it? Here you go."
Eric, there is nothing in this world that you could do to make me love you less.
The way I would have dove in the courtroom, oh, I am not above a little piece of diving action, baby. Had that been my child, my sister, I'm diving. Now, when it was Eric's turn to speak, he did so through tears, calling himself a broken man. I have a little portion of what he had to say, but I'm gonna read you a chunk of it. "I am a broken man. A man splintered by a penetrating awareness of my own potential for wickedness. While I cannot fathom the extent of the anguish that I have caused, I recognize that my sinful deeds have inflicted terrific agony on a number of people. The words evade me to articulate the depths of my sorrow." You ain't write that. You did not write any of those things.
I am a broken man. The words evade me to articulate the depths of my sorrow.
He goes on to say, quote, "I was afraid that my relationship with Lily, the singular ray of light in my black world, was in peril of collapsing. And then he goes on to express how and why he thought like Adrian was a threat to their relationship. He feared that she was driving a wedge between them, that her time with Lily was taken away from his time with Lily. And that night on Halloween, he had gone out drinking. The two of them had had a fight. His emotions were high. It was supposed to be their original wedding, like the night before their wedding, but here they are fighting. She's gone to her family's house to spend the night. He is at home drunk alone, thinking all of these things. And this man believed that, at least in that moment, that Adrian was the problem, not his own actions. It was Adrian and her poisoning Lily's perception of him, not his own actions. And apparently she was not the only one that was giving him this advice that she deserved better and that she should get with somebody else. Everybody knew he had a nasty little drinking problem. Her family, her friends were all telling her not to marry him because he's a sick man, sicker than anyone knew. And that sick man will not be free again. In 2006, he is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole ever. And as of 2023, his wife Lily, crude home couple, proud defender of her beady-eyed murderous husband, still lived in that neighborhood. She has since his conviction divorced him. I don't know how long it took. I don't know if it was immediately after, but this current date, they are no longer married. Probably still right. I don't know. And I'm just trying to figure out how Lily could have gone for nearly an entire year marrying and living with the man who murdered her best friend without suspecting a single solitary thing. Like, do you believe that? I don't know if I believe that. I really don't know. I have no idea. Because do I think it's possible that could be the case? Yes, I've researched countless cases where I really do believe that the spouse had no idea, no inkling. Defensive wounds, the cigarettes, the eyes and the hair. I'm sure you knew that he felt a way about Adrian. I just don't see her genuinely, honestly, having no idea. But like I said, I don't know. That's just my little piece of 2 cents, child, in the bucket nobody asked for, but I give it because I do what I want to do. The DA said, quote, "It is hard to believe that she lay next to him 11 months and didn't have any suspicions." I'm right with the DA with that. But Arlene, Adrian's mother, who spoke at their wedding, she doesn't believe it. She had this to say about it. "I think that Lily was like another sister to Adrian. She could not have even suspected that her husband was involved with that." Now, as for Eric, she has some not so graceful, understanding, nor gracious words for him, which she said directly to him at his sentencing.
You knew Adrian. She counted you among her friends. You are a man who violently stabbed to death the best friend of the woman you love. You cannot love Lily and bring a knife into Adrian's home and stab her again and again and again.
And he sat there completely stone-faced, no emotion whatsoever. But when Lily came into the courtroom, baby, his eyes lit up and he was emotional, but paid Adrian's mother, Arlene, dust in the courtroom as she spoke, just offering no kind of emotion whatsoever. Did he address the family and apologize? He did, but I didn't like the way he sat there when that lady was talking to him and he was just looking like she wasn't talking to him. Lauren, the sole survivor, as you can imagine, is traumatized by the whole situation. She has spoken publicly about like her trouble sleeping, just how much the process of going to bed at night has changed for her in general. Like, this has completely changed her forever, unfortunately. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Like I said before, if you're interested in the things behind me, in the pinned comment or the description or both, there will be a link for that short. Yeah, look at my picture. It's so cute. I love the mushroom. I love coloring mushrooms. I like the way it came out. I feel like the moon is a little wonky, but you know, I brought it back in there. I brought it back to life. Back to reality. The score is a little trippy too, but you know, like I said, it wasn't gonna be perfect, girl. It wasn't gonna be perfect, and it's better than what your baby can do. It's better than what your baby do with them Crayolas. Oh, not the children. I'm sorry, but it's better than what you can do. As always, y'all, doing this and coloring, I thought it took a lot of focus to do this and do makeup, like tell the stories. Baby, doing this and coloring, it ain't easy, but I like it. I like it a lot. I'm committed. I have softer lights coming. These are like really cold white lights, so I have some warm lights coming that deliver tomorrow. Yeah, a couple of other kinks I'm I'm gonna work out. I feel like this canvas, wrong side. The canvas right here, that white on the side of the canvas, to me looks like maybe a cord hanging. I feel like it gives that same eyesore that like cords from televisions on like white walls give. I don't know, it might not be so bad. I don't know, I might not touch it up. I don't feel like touching it up. I don't want to add anything to it. So, child, and I'm not. I just talked that through. Anyway, I'm talking y'all head off. I will be back within the coming days. I also want to stream a like game. I'm a PlayStation girly, okay? And I play games. I told y'all that I play Palia, whatever you say, honey. And a lot of y'all have added me. I am currently trying to build up my plot. I want to host cooking parties. I'm trying to build up my little plot in the back to be the hosting space for the in-game cooking parties. So yeah, if y'all are interested in like watching me do that live, and then we can chat and things, and I can sit here and y'all can look at my cute background and stuff, let me know. Maybe we can play together. There's other games that I would like to play too on stream, so I might stream like something once a week. All right, that's enough. I ain't gonna bore y'all with the deets. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. I hope you have a great week. As soon as I hit record, my heart just started pounding. Like, I've been so nervous about filming this video, y'all. I was supposed to film this video like 2 days ago, but my nerves been so bad. Oh my God. Now, after the accident, she earns a scholarship to California. Why is there a gnat in the business? California Polytech State. Is that what it is? Was it state? Yes, it was. I stopped for nothing. At the age of 26, Adrian is working for... At the age of 26, neighbors, please. What the hell? On moving day, on mute. Not mute. And so to try to change or like... Adrian takes the upstairs bathroom, not bathroom, well she did, along with I guess her bedroom. This is gonna be hell to edit, baby. What have I started? Adrian takes the upstairs bathroom. I said it again. Now Leslie grew up with a single mother who, I really gotta adjust this because like I'm having to lean a little bit to make sure I got space for y'all to see the coloring I'm doing. Then I got the coloring in front of me and I'm just trying to color over to the other side. I'm gonna get it situated. Real good. This is not as easy as I thought it'd be, but I enjoy it. Now I'm out of, come on now. My bad if I'm out of focus, y'all. Focus on what I'm doing. If I'm out of focus at any point, just focus on the coloring, okay? Grabs their cordless phone to dial 911, but there is no dial tone because the phone lines, okay. Then went into Leslie's room. Not the ice cream truck coming around here, girl. While I'm trying to... Blue, get a quarter out of my purse and go get your mama a popsicle. Red. Flavor red. I'm about to get attitude. Cause why y'all coming down my street? Now I'm hungry. I ain't even had nothing to eat today. It's 6:25 p.m. I need to eat. I guess they done. And you know what else is real weird about this Leslie? He too has a solid alibi and is cleared of suspicion. Willingly submitted. The alibi checks out. DNA does not. It got real specific with the detectives. Hoping that. Knowing that, they circle back to the surviving roommate Lauren and they ask Lauren. A middle-aged, nice married couple receive a letter in a mail. I said it twice. Had that been my child, my sister, I'm diving. Now who I'm about to... Okay. Deeds have inflicted terror. He goes on to say, I was afraid my relationship with Willie, not Willie, Lily. Jeez.